I am Liesl Perez. I head up corporate marketing here at Mapbox, and I want to thank everyone who is here today. I joined Mapbox about 4.5 months ago. And so in that 4.5 months, I've basically been planning this event. So today's a big day for me, and it's a big day for all of the Mapboxers who have put together all of the latest features and updates that we have here. Here today with me is a very illustrious group of women and data scientists. I think this is one of the most fascinating panels that are out there, and I love the fact that it's all women who are actually going to be sharing their perspectives on the future of business intelligence and location intelligence. So here joining me, and I will actually allow them to introduce themselves. First off, I see is Elizabeth Knewsky. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit and tell us about your background?
Sure. Hey, everybody. My name's Elizabeth. I'm the director of data science at a company called PH Data. PH Data is a boutique consultancy where we help clients on their end-to-end data and analytics journey, from data engineering, data science, analytics, machine learning engineering. And so very excited to talk to you all today. From a day-to-day perspective, my role is to make sure that we help our clients reach success by finding new ways to solve their current business problems, leveraging data science.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Dr. Katayuns from ACLID. Would you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Katayuns. I'm the head of data science at ACLID, the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project. We are an event data set updated weekly, covering events in every country around the world on political violence and disorder, and demonstrations as well. So we track all sorts of protests and battles and anything involving political violence in every country. My team in particular is at the forefront of going forward with all of our data science projects in terms of building out predictive models, looking at conflict into the future, building early warning hubs, working with natural language processing to sort of mine our own data, and so forth. So excited to be talking to you all today.
Fantastic. And then last but not least, we have Noels from Notable.
Hi, everybody. I am Noels. I work for Notable.io as a senior front-end engineer. Notable is a collaborative data analysis platform. So we're notebook computing in the cloud, kind of enabling teams to do the whole data analysis lifecycle with our product. And I work specifically on our no-code data visualization feature. So we've used Mapbox and to enable users to build maps, but we also have many other chart types for people to gain insights into their data.
Fantastic. All right, well, let's get started. I already have questions that are coming in to the chat, so I'll be sure to have those. I do want to say, for general housekeeping, if you have questions, this session is meant to be interactive. So please raise your hand and we can call you up, and you can unmute and show us your face if you want. And if not, you can just put your questions into the meeting chat and we'll try to get to them. Our first question is, what does location intelligence mean for you, especially? So let's start with Noels, since you were the last to introduce yourself.
Sure. I think location intelligence is all about using geospatial data to gain insights into whatever it is that your organization needs. In our case at Notable, having maps and allowing people to do this type of location intelligence analysis is just such an important part to support different business needs. Maps are a complex way of visualizing information, but data analysts can rely on our culture's ingrained map literacy, I think, to bring understanding to this type of data. So having this as an option just opens up our product to more robust use cases.
Fantastic. And Dr. Katayuns, do you want to answer that question as well?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you can imagine in our line of work, looking at armed conflict events, demonstration events, knowing the exact location of those is quite important, and being able to map them and visualize them for our users is a really quick, efficient way of getting trends across, getting analysis across. We rely on Mapbox to be able to sort of accurately plot where our the administrative divisions that our locations all fall in, and we really rely on being able to show consistent, accurate results when it comes to location mapping.
Great. Elizabeth Knewsky, anything to add to that?
Yeah, my last thing to add is I've worked really closely with Mapbox and the mobility data, and adding that movement into real-time business decisions has really helped my clients understand where their products need to be placed, what are people doing, how to better serve people, what they're actually doing from a day-to-day perspective with movement. So adding a little bit more dimension to their everyday business processes.
Okay, fantastic. And while we're on this topic, we have a question from the audience. So this was not pre-scripted, but I think it should be fairly easy to answer. The question is, what's the differences between data engineering, data science, and data analytics? Does anyone want to try to answer that?
I can take a stab at it since PH Data does a little bit of everything. So the way I like to think about it is like building a house. So your data engineers are your plumbers, creating all the infrastructure and making everything in the house ready to be able to live in. So if you have data engineers, you have a very strong data foundation. Data analytics is more so of more descriptive things. So thinking about putting up the walls, making sure that things are decorated nicely, and add a lot of value to making it a house, a full house to live in. And then the data scientists add that extra level of adding your smart technologies, adding like really nice finishings on the house to provide it some extra value. So data scientists really look at the future, predicting forward. Data analytics is trying to help understand what's going on now. How can you make sense of all the data that you have available to better make decisions? And then data engineering is providing that foundation.
Fantastic.
Anybody else want to add anything to that?
Yeah, that was a great answer. I liked it.
Agreed.
Good job. All right. So here's the next question. So the age of big data is now a reality, but now that we have all of this data, do you feel people are actually using it correctly? And what role does ethics play when we're talking about data analysis?
I can jump in if you want. Yeah, sure. I think, yeah, I mean, it's a huge question, right? I think from my perspective of the kind of work that we do, where it's looking at quite sensitive information, you have an added layer, I think, of responsibility and ethics that goes into sort of a do no harm policy of responsibly using the data by understanding the methodology that goes into it, understanding how it's collected, why it's collected, what biases are inherent in the data and are accounted for by the researchers, and taking that into account when you're using it, especially in conjunction with other data sets, because every data set, every data collector has its own set of biases that are intentional and unintentional, and understanding those and recognizing them when you're trying to use data on its own or in conjunction with other data sets is really important. And I think something that's overlooked in an age where there's a lot available and people just want to take advantage of it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that is a great response. I know one of the things that we, spend a lot of time here at Mapbox is actually, making sure all of our data is de-identified because we have to have those privacy concerns, and that's not something that I think everybody does necessarily, but it's something that we sweat a lot of details on. How about you, Elizabeth? How do you feel about, whether or not we're using data correctly and the ethics behind it?
Yeah, so I think from just like a tactical point, I've seen a lot of organizations still very new in their data literacy journey. A lot of folks still stuck in Excel and still stuck in trying to figure out what they can do with this new wealth of information. I think organizations from just like a day-to-day perspective, having really investing in their employees to gain that literacy, gain experience in different tools is going to help make use of that wide amount of data. I also think every day, more and more, it's becoming more apparent about how important the ethics within using the data is. So I can speak at least from a lot of like AI development and companies wanting to break into the new spaces, really have to ask, is my data biased? So if I'm going to create something that's going to make automated decisions without human intervention, is my data a good reflection off of what's actually happening, or is there some sort of bias or something that we're not realizing. And I've seen more and more roles around specific like AI ethics, and seeing that grow as a trend in the industry.
Fantastic. Noel, how do you feel about this topic?
I like what Katayun and Elizabeth had to say about the implicit biases that are kind of inherent in data analysis, and how we can bring more people into the room besides just our data scientists, how we can promote data literacy amongst the rest of our teams, making sure that more people can participate, because whenever you're using your data to make decisions, you have to really think about who's going to be impacted, how will they be impacted. And I think you can come to those answers a little easier or a little quickly if you're also including a wide range of different backgrounds and experiences in the data analytics. At Notable specifically, it's, as tool makers, I think we have a responsibility to ensure we're not limiting or leading users to biased ways of interpreting their data. It's a big responsibility. Can't say that you can do that perfectly, but it's definitely something we think about in building our tools. And the same with collaboration. Like, we often think about how can we make sure that our tool is useful to any role in the organization, to any member of the team, to kind of promote that data literacy that you need to fight back against bias.
All right. Those are great answers. Thank you so much. We have a question from the audience from Brian Hermson, who asks the panelists, what's the typical workflow for getting data onto maps? Do you upload layers a lot? Does anyone want to kind of go into the nitty-gritty of this?
I can say from the Notable platform how it works, which is it's a notebook computing platform based on Jupyter. So you can kind of use many different data sources to get your data into the app, to create a code cell and create a data frame with maybe pandas or SQL. And then Notable has some automatic no-code visualization tools built in. So if you have location-based data with latitude and longitude specifically, you can kind of import it into a cell and within a couple of clicks, pick a map visualization and start editing the settings on that map. So that's how it specifically works for us.
Fantastic. All right. Love the audience questions. Definitely keep them coming. Although we have about 5 minutes left in this session, and then I'm going to be kicking everybody back out into the lobby so you can choose your next breakout that you want to attend. Here's the final question, which is, what could companies be doing better to get more ROI out of their data? So we'll start with Elizabeth Knewsky. Sorry to pick on you.
No worries. This is a question I talk about a lot with my clients. I think the first one is like really taking a look at and taking an inventory of like, what are your biggest business processes that need improvement? From those, what data do you have available? And then take an effort of, if we had no resource constraints, what would a perfect future state look like? And then what does this realistic future state look like? That's a good way to start estimating like what cost savings are we going to have? How much extra revenue could we potentially generate with a smarter data-driven solution? And then when you look at the costs associated, it might be a big issue, but actually solving it, the data might not be available, or it might be a very large cost from a development perspective. So maybe the current process has to stay, but that's how you can really quickly see, okay, these are the biggest problems and these are the biggest areas that we have to solve those problems, and quantify in terms of like cost savings, in terms of extra revenue generation, in terms of just the time it's going to take to build the solution, to maintain the solution. And having those pieces figured out, you'll have a pretty solid ROI at the end.
Fantastic. Thank you. Dr. Katayun Kishi, for ACLID, I guess the ROI is a little bit different for you. So how do you What would you say about that question?
Yeah, so we actually quite recently have started our own kind of data literacy campaign, both internally and externally. So internally, really investing trainings and time in our own employees, building up some technical skills and their data literacy, and sort of adding to what they already sort of come into a data organization knowing how to do. And then one of the things that I think is unique and important that feeds our system is we rely a lot on local partnerships with organizations on the ground in conflict areas in countries where you don't have a lot of traditional journalism, for example. And we rely on the data that they send us a lot of the time. And so we are investing then time into improving their data literacy, improving how they manage data, how they can build out their own databases, how they can analyze the data that they're collecting and maintain it, so that then when it arrives to us, we are better able to implement it and integrate it into our own data set. So we're sort of trying to approach data literacy holistically in that sense. And it's a bit of a unique situation since we are a nonprofit research organization, but important nonetheless.
Great answer. And Noel?
Yeah, I like what Dr. Katayuns is saying about data literacy, and I think it ties in a lot to my opinion on improving your return on investment, which is the more you can streamline the process of data analysis from gathering all the way to analyzing, to visualizing, to creating these dashboards, the faster you can iterate and gain insights, the better, the less invested you have, right? The better ROI you'll have. So I think it's important to make it easier for the whole team to ask questions, to communicate about the data, to gain deeper insights together. So make sure that your tools are accessible to engineers, to scientists, to analysts, to consumers, so that you can have that benefit of having others in on the conversation. And it's going to be better.
Fantastic response. Ladies, thank you so much for coming and sharing your knowledge with us. Want to honor everyone's time and give everyone a chance to maybe take a little break before the next session. So if you have any technical questions, I do encourage you guys to drop into the Ask Me Anythings that are available. They are open for the full hour, so you can drop in whenever you want. Our product leadership is there to answer any questions and also listen to any suggestions you may have to make our products better. Thank you again for joining us today, and I look forward to seeing you at the next breakout. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.